All
Kind
right,
of a good
good.
brand.
Jesus, that is not good. All right. Um, I'm
We're not quite
so.
there yet. Connecting.
Oh, that's good. I am like there is literally. Are you so?
Did you see the tweet he just put out?
No, did he tweet about you?
Well, it wasn't about me, but it was about me.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah, he just put out one that said, "I look forward to watching the sick terrorist thugs get 20-year jail sentences for what they're doing to Elon Musk and Tesla. Perhaps they could serve them in the prisons of El Salvador, which have recently become famous for such lovely conditions."
Yeah, that was the Trump tweet. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, what do we? What is? I want you to.
What is it?
What the
what
fuck is going
what
on
the
here,
fuck is
Wrigley?
going on? You
What the
know,
fuck is
look,
going on?
he has reached such a point of self-indulgence and mania, and everybody around him is there merely to empower the self-indulgence and the. I gotta let these dogs out. Hang on. Could you
Yes.
be
All right.
worse
I'll
off?
just check. So now that
Could you be
Rick's
worse
gone,
off? Go.
we can really talk. We'll just
You're
talk
gonna have
about
to
real
pretty
stuff.
much rely on the fact that I've got bad dogs. They're very
But
bad.
right. We'll just okay. Tell me, what do you
Anyway,
guys want to talk about? Tell us what you want to talk about.
yeah. So
Tell
hey,
us what
cat's
you
on a
want to.
couch.
Yeah. Tell us what you want to talk about with Rick Wilson. We will talk about it here. We live to
Here we
serve.
are. We are
Mm,
here. We're here, but to serve you.
yes.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I
So
mean,
just let. Why has Donald Trump not severed with Elon? And why?
I don't know. It's like he's tripling down now because he's got every like federal agency now out there hawking Teslas.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, what? I mean, eventually Trump's going to get sick of Elon, right?
Eventually, you'll get sick of Elon. Look, here's the thing: Trump's numbers have fallen down to where basically they're like support level. You know,
Right.
mid 40s, low 40s, we're at whatever. Elon's numbers have continued to drop. The
Right.
price of Tesla has continued to drop, and now Elon is. I think Elon recognizes that he's got to either bail out completely or or absolutely take over the government to the point where he can just support Tesla from taxpayer money, which I think
Right.
is what's going to happen. I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to come up with some bullshit rationale like the Cybertruck is the new U.S. Army Hummer,
Because
or
the Cybertruck right now is in the middle of a Wall Street Journal had a piece that there's a big
oh yeah, every one of them's been
recall.
recalled because they
Yes.
first off they're falling apart because the glue they used was the wrong glue. First of all, I'm concerned about my car being held together with glue.
Not me. I love a
This
glue car. I love a glue car. Glue cars for everyone. Let us
a chicken in
all.
every pot, a glue car in every driveway.
That's right. I mean, listen. I don't. I don't understand for the life of me the Cybertruck. The appeal. It looks hideous. I've never been in one. I hope to never.
It's like I want to take my erectile dysfunction out for a drive in a microwave. I mean, it's just it's bizarre.
And,
But
and
look,
there. So go on.
I think though that you had one of his biggest institutional investors yesterday come out and go, less Doge, more of what we're paying you money to do.
Right.
You got to go back to run Tesla. Um,
Can
and
I
and
can I say one thing I did that
yeah,
was like a small thing?
yeah.
So my mother has dementia and is in a nursing home, and I run her accounts for money.
Hmm.
And she has like a retirement kind of money, not
Sure.
so much money, but money. And I said to the money manager, I said, I want you to sell all her. I said, any fund that has Tesla positions she needs to get out of. I just said, I don't understand why we're financing Tesla. And it wasn't a ton of money. It was not, she doesn't have a
Sure.
ton of money, but like that is a small thing you can do. Is if you are in a
I
mutual fund, if you are in a retirement fund, you do not need to finance Elon Musk.
Nope, nope. And if you're a state like California, which still has
Yeah, why is
enormous Tesla holdings,
California funding fucking
I
Elon
I I
Musk?
got I look. If you take California out of two equations, one, the institutional positions that CalPERS, the state retirement fund, and the state education retirement funds are in. If you
How
took
are the
them out of cap,
dogs?
I,
How
I
are the
know, I
dogs?
know. God bless them.
How are the dogs? They want to come in. By the
Yeah, I
way,
know. And then
Rick,
they're going to want to go back out.
by the way, these dogs, the chances that one of these dogs has been attacked by an alligator or will be attacked by an alligator while this
Oh,
conversation goes on, 100%?
easily close to 100%. No
Yeah,
doubt about it. No
it's
doubt about
all good. All right, so go on.
it. So anyway, um, the, California does two big things for Elon every single day. They're
You don't want to
massively,
interview those dogs. They're not smart. Okay,
they're
go on.
not, I mean, well, Chili
No,
could be
they're
considered smart, but Spinderella is not.
no,
Um, the California investment and pension funds are massively into Tesla.
right.
They should not be.
Yeah, why is that? If
At
you
this
live in
point,
California, call your legislators and say, why are we invested?
Call Gavin
Call
Newsom and call
Gavin.
the CalPERS people and say you don't want to be, I don't want to. Let's not fund Hitler. He's a bad
Yeah,
egg.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
He makes a straight armed hand gesture. I
yes,
don't like, as a Jew, the people who make the straight armed hand gesture,
right.
they're
You're
never
going to lose
good.
coming and going. Romans or Germans, you're going to
Yeah,
lose. It's a bad
yeah,
outcome.
not good. Those people,
So
they're never
never
good to the
quite works
Jews.
out that
Yeah,
way. But the other thing that they do is they still offer massive incentives for purchasing an EV.
right.
They get to pick
Tax
what's on that
incentives.
list of EVs. The
Right.
government of California picks and chooses a lot of things that can and can't be sold in their state.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would you have Tesla on that EV preference list?
Yeah,
Take
I
them
don't,
off.
yeah.
It will improve the diversity of the market. It will make people much happier to have many more options to use when they're making their electric vehicle purchases. And I've said this a lot lately. You can buy a Rivian, you can buy a Polestar, you can buy a Lucid, you can buy an Aptera.
Why
You
wouldn't you
can buy
just buy
Hondas.
a Chevy?
Right, you can buy a Ford F-150 Lightning.
Yeah,
There's a
I
million other
love,
cars less expensive
right,
than Tesla, less Elon spyware than
right,
Tesla,
right.
and
Um,
you're good to
yeah.
go.
Now let's talk about things that are really important here. Wisconsin. There's a
Yeah.
race in Wisconsin. It is a judge race. It's the first test. If Republicans get blown out, it will be so good. It will be so meaningful. Explain
Look,
to us what it will mean.
if inshallah, if we're still watching a lot of money splashing around in there.
Elon
Um,
put how much money into that race?
God knows at this point. We're having trouble keeping up with it at the moment. Honest answer, because he's doing it through other groups now as well, and it's messy. But
Should
I
you
would,
donate to the Wisconsin base? No, you should make phone calls, do
yeah,
write
right. That
postcards.
this is
Don't. There's big money already.
yeah, the money's already there. Your
Yeah,
best and highest calling right now in Wisconsin Senate race is to donate your time.
yeah,
If you can drive there or go there and volunteer to knock doors, do that. Postcard, phone calls, text banking. There's
yeah.
all the usual
Do
things,
that. Phone banking.
and make
Yeah,
sure you're turning out Democrats.
yeah,
If they're telling you we're going to call independent, don't call independents this time. Turn out. This is a base election. Turn out your base. Get them out. Get them out. Get them
yeah.
out. Get them out.
Yep. And then
And look, this race is, you're right. There's a huge symbolic value to this race, Molly.
right. It's a
And
referendum on the incumbent, and the truth is, the incumbent is doing crazy shit every
yep,
day, like
yep.
crazy stuff. The kind of stuff that if a Democrat did it, we would be. I mean, you know,
There's no standard for these kind of off year races,
right,
um, except for we know turnout will be very low.
right.
We know that Elon has thrown a lot of money into it, treating it kind of like the presidential.
Yeah,
But with a low turnout race, where turnout will probably be in the teens somewhere,
yeah,
that is a low
yeah.
turnout race. Um, it's really important to dig in there, um,
Support Susan
and
Crawford. That's her name.
yeah, and her campaign has done very well. They're running a good campaign, credible campaign, solid campaign. I just want to make sure that people don't presume there won't be high Republican turnout,
Right.
and take their foot off the gas. And there is no third option. This is a two horse race. We're going
Yeah.
to get in here, And we're going to learn if Democrats can start riding this wave. The
Yeah.
special elections that are out there beyond this, they're not as indicative. Like the Florida races are both in extremely hard Republican districts.
Yeah.
Matt Gaetz' old district, and the fourth,
Florida's
which is
first district, right?
Florida's first district. You bet. Um, but I think that race in Wisconsin is the one you got to keep an eye on for right now. And you are seeing these indicators we talked about a little bit last time. These indicators from town hall meetings where if you really wanted I think the best of them so far, Wyoming, a state that went to Donald Trump by a 46% margin.
Yeah, that was an amazing little bit of sorcery.
Arguably the most Republican state in the country.
And that's Harriet, whatever her name is, with the
Yeah,
crazy
Harriet Hageman,
glasses.
who sounds like
Harriet
a Harry
Hageman,
Potter character
who
and
won,
dresses
who,
like one.
right, who beat
Um,
Liz Cheney.
right, who beat notorious progressive Liz Cheney,
Right, that's right.
goes and does the town hall meeting.
Liberal cock, Liz
Yeah,
Cheney.
right.
Yeah.
Libtard Liz
Okay,
Cheney
yeah.
goes out and does a town hall meeting and gets dragged backward and forward across the room. And it wasn't
She was
like,
not ready for that.
oh no, it wasn't like, why aren't you helping trans kids? It was, why are you hurting our farmers? It had one
Yeah,
woman who was very well spoken. She was a USDA representative out there who helped farmers with
right.
disaster
Dolores
relief and
Umbridge
fire
without the look.
control.
Yeah.
And she described her job because I was fired by Doge, this. I always had high performance reviews. I helped people here and here and here. And Hageman kind of mocked her. And the audience got savage.
Yeah.
I mean, that was absolutely a red light. If you're a Republican, you should be thinking, all right, there aren't enough progressives in the entire goddamn state to pack a big haul like that. Those
Right.
were our people who are angry. And I heard yesterday about a similar, it hasn't popped in the news yet, a similar town hall recently, very small one with a Georgia Republican in Southeast Georgia, who got his head handed to him by people who, y'all, Southeast Georgia is like Northwest Pakistan. It is conservative in ways that make conservatives look like liberal progressives from Cambridge, Massachusetts. It is that far out into the ether. If Republicans are starting to get that kind of pressure, Molly,
Yeah.
it's because the economy is not in what were we promised? Oh, a golden age.
So let's talk about this for a second, because I think we're going to fight about something now, and I let's have a few minutes of fighting.
Can we make up
People
later?
love it. Yeah. So let's have a few minutes of fighting here, which is that you there is the headline in all of the Politico newsletters is the liberal Tea Party. That there are that the base is fucking pissed, and they feel that they are not being represented by their leaders. Now, we both know that the real Tea Party was actually very astroturfed, and that it dovetails with the Koch brothers very nicely. But there
Yes.
is a question, and this has always been true in the Democratic Party, a real tension between people who want wealth distribution, who want the real sort of liberal ethos, and people who want, the sort of good tech
Yeah.
oligarchs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I'm here. I'm
There's
still here.
this sort of the Facebook before Facebook was Facebook, right? When they were pretending not to be evil. So the
Yeah.
question is there a liberal Tea Party? Is that a real thing? And will it, in fact, I mean, look, the Democratic Party is much bigger, right? It's a bigger base, it's broader, and it has more. It's a big tent. So what do you think about that? Never a Trump
So the Tea
Republican,
Party was a real thing for about 45 to 60 days.
right?
It was a grassroots movement that really did start popping up around the country. And I can tell you why I know the Koch brothers took it over very quickly
Oh,
because I was
I
part
know.
of it.
I am aware.
Okay,
That's why we said
I
this.
and I appreciate
How
you setting
many
me up.
nights have you been
My
like? And
supervillain, my
I take
supervillain
my
origin story.
right. I take. How many times have you said to me like? I take full responsibility.
I do.
Actually, I'm
And I'm owning
looking.
it right
Yeah,
now. I could have bullshitted
yeah,
and gone, some consultants, this is fucking me.
yeah,
Well, not
yeah,
just
yeah,
me. Just not
yeah.
just me, but I certainly was very quick to
Hmm.
understand how using a relatively small amount of leverage of these frustrated individual groups around the country
Hmm.
that had a cultural moment,
Hmm.
and there was an element of it that was about the fear of Obamacare. There was an element of it that was overtly racial about
Hmm.
Barack Obama. The uppity black man was telling them what they were going to do. They did not like it. That was in certain states. It was a
Right.
national movement when it started. And there was
There was
a
also anxiety about healthcare.
well, yeah, it was the healthcare element. I would say was probably 80%, 75 to 80% of what we would pick up in the focus groups. They weren't saying,
Right.
I don't like that black guy. They were saying, I'm really scared about my health care. And they were
Right.
legitimately frightened they were going to lose their doctors. That was a
Right.
very bad message, but it, it, it transformed into a political mechanism that organized around the country in different states. They were external to the Republican Party's organizing methods and mechanisms, which were not what they are right now.
Hmm.
15 years ago, a lot of state Republican parties, Florida being the exception, because we were always the Death Star, we were always like the Republican mega party. State Republican parties were not what they are now. They were
Right.
not as organized and well funded and digitally oriented and
Hmm.
build on lists and data and metrics and all that other crap. But to get to the point of do the Democrats need or want a Tea Party, I think they want a couple of aspects of that kind of movement, but you don't want something that's run from the top down out of Washington,
Mm.
which the Tea Party eventually was.
Yeah.
My son wrote a piece on Substack today. Andrew Wilson comes from a pretty good family. Wrote a piece on Substack today called "This Will Only Hurt for a Bit," and part of it is
Right.
why Democrats. One aspect they need to do about the Tea Party. What did the Tea Party do every day? They told every single Republican voter, "You're going to lose your health care. You're going to lose your doctor. You're going to lose your insurance. You're going to lose your health care. They're going to have death panels. They're going to get you." They told a negative story every day
Right.
to their voters. Democrats need to be telling that negative story about the Trump economy and the damage he's doing every
Right.
single day. It's a great
Right.
piece. It's called "This Will Only Hurt for a Bit."
Yeah.
Um, I'll post it again on my page later. Um, all of those ideas that you have out there of what's going on in the economy right now, the tariffs, the tax cut for Elon and the billionaire class, don't approach it. If you're Democrats, I would counsel not to approach it like, and we're going to raise taxes on everybody because this is a terrible situation. It should be, we're not going to let them keep hurting you.
Right.
This is so crazy. We're not going to let them keep hurting you. Here's the
Yeah.
crazy thing that's hurting you in Tennessee. Here's the crazy thing that's hurting you in Arizona. Here's the crazy thing that's hurting you in New York. Over and
Right.
over again.
So Democrats want fighters, and that's what we're hearing.
They
That's
need
what
them.
we're seeing, and they need them,
Hmm.
but they also want them, right? That is a real thing. So here's a question for you: Who is that fighter? I mean, is there a coup d'état that could
Choose
happen
a
in the
fighter.
Senate? Who is there a coup d'état that could happen in the Senate? Could I mean, like we know Dick Durbin is probably not going to run again, maybe, but probably not. We think that I mean, who are the fighters that you could
Look,
see getting in there?
I want folks who are, and I say this generically at the 30,000 foot level. I want good communicators. I want
Right.
people who are not afraid every day. I mean, like when Chuck Schumer, before he does an interview, there's this same multi-day process where they plan and scheme and rehearse it, and they murder board it, and
Yeah.
they walk through every scenario, and they give them 50 questions that could or could not be asked, and they work with the producers to try to get no. You need people who can go out and spontaneously stand in front of a camera and deliver a message over and over and over and over.
Right.
They need people like us, honestly,
Right. Right.
who don't worry that every single TV hit they do is going to be the greatest thing ever or the worst thing ever. Just go out
Right.
and communicate every day.
Just
What does
more.
Trump do? What is Trump's dark magic? He's always communicating all the
Right.
time, every minute of the day. Um, and I just feel like there's a need for younger, faster, more agile thinkers who are not
So
locked in.
in the Senate, who is that? I'm gonna just in the Set. We'll do in the Senate and then in the
Brian
House.
Schatz is one of them, right off the top. Martin Heinrich has done really well lately.
Yeah, Martin Heinrich
Um,
has done really well,
I
and
think
he's
he's been
a
really. Don't you think he's been really strong?
yeah, waspy guy from
Yeah,
New Mexico.
I'm
Yes.
I'm shocked how good Sheldon Whitehouse is. I would not have
Sheldon
thought.
is always good, but
I
he
would
doesn't
not.
want to be in leadership.
I know. I know. Well, okay, yeah, that's a good point. Um, but look, there's a flock of younger people who also I think can hold the caucus together.
Right, right.
Um,
Chris Murphy, we love Chris
Chris
Murphy.
Murphy,
I'm not sure Chris Murphy wants to be in leadership, but I think he'd be great.
I think
Bennett
Chris.
too.
I think in an interesting way, Krista would be good at the mechanics on the back end.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know that he's in that top tier communicators, but he's not in it either. If that makes sense,
Right.
he's he's pretty good.
Yeah,
Look, I like Amy
he's
Klobuchar.
good. I feel like
She's got
everyone's.
some
I
elbows.
feel like people are mean to Chris Murphy because he's short, but I like him.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
not
look.
even that short, man. I mean, how tall do you need to be?
Well, according to MAGAs, you have to be at least 6'7" to actually be a man.
And I love Cory Booker too, but I don't. Cory Booker has not been out there as much this time, which is
Right,
interesting.
but have you seen Cory Booker at the front edge of this fight?
No, I have not.
And I,
And I'm a fan of Cory
which
Booker.
and he's good on TV.
Yeah, he's
He's
really
the guy's
good.
good on TV. He's a good
Yeah,
bullshitter on TV.
yeah,
You know, he's a
yeah, yeah,
good
yeah.
dialogue guy on TV.
Yeah, Steph
Look,
Curry is not in the Senate. I'm sorry to tell you,
sorry guys,
not a senator.
no.
Go on.
But
Yeah,
look, a big part of this is going to have to come down to one simple question.
yeah,
Chuck Schumer has, for years, his calling card, his power has derived from, I will go to Wall Street and raise all the money.
right,
Let's be really candid about why there's power there. I will go
right,
to Wall Street and raise all the money.
right,
Everything you need, I'm going to go to Wall Street. And my daughter is going to help you in Silicon Valley,
right,
who is at Facebook. I don't believe he has the same power he once had on Wall Street.
right. Clearly,
I don't believe that argument is sufficient to keep him as majority or minority leader because
yeah,
he's not. And look, long and honorable service, all that stuff, right?
yeah.
But I'm sorry, guys, he is not a wartime leader. He's not
No,
a wartime consigliere. He is
and I
not a
think
guy
he
who he
even
doesn't
knows
like
that.
it.
I think he even knows that.
I don't know, Molly. What did you think of the Chris Hayes interview the other night? I watched it and I was like, oh God.
I actually did not watch it, believe it or not, but I didn't see the tweet. But I have certainly seen that he does not seem like he necessarily wants to meet this moment. And by the way, like I'm not convinced. I mean, look, the mechanics of that moment were by the time that CR got out of the house, it was too late to not take the blame. And everyone thought the CR was not going to get out of the house because Johnson can't do math.
Look, there is no Chuck Schumer owns that CR because there was still a chance to stop it in the House,
Yeah.
but Schumer when he said, "Oh, I've got to do this," that took the wind out of anybody in the House who was going to take a
Hmm.
political hit on the Democratic side for it because they're like,
Yeah.
"The fuck is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not laying down in front of that freight train."
Yeah.
So, look, to loop back on the Tea Party question for a second. Yes, the Democrats need grassroots energy, but that energy needs to be directed at framing a case for the American people that they're being hurt.
Right.
It can't be about, oh, we're going to build high-speed rail and we're going to do this. You can't promise them anything right now because the Democrats have lost their credibility with a lot of American voters. And I'm not saying
Right.
that as a former Republican. I'm saying that
No.
as somebody who looks at the survey work. Democrats are looking at the survey work across the board and they're like, how do we rebuild trust in our party?
Right.
The fundamental way you do it in the short term is to tell people we know what's happening. We know you're hurting. We know how bad we know the bad things that he is doing, how badly they're hurting you.
Right.
Tell them that over and over again, because one part of Trump's magic in 2015 was telling Republicans and other middle class voters and white working class voters, I know you're pissed off.
Right.
See, there's a lot of, it's like, to bring Schumer back into it, there's a lot of the thing about Schumer. I think he believes at some level that showing anger is unprofessional and
Right.
undignified
Right.
and unsanity. Um, but showing anger when people have a reason to be angry is an unbelievably legitimate and important function of
Yeah.
humanity.
Yeah.
Showing anger when people are pissed off for reasons that are absolutely correct and meritorious, that's a good thing. I
Right.
mean, God knows, that you don't have to be like me, folks. You don't have to be like a fucking flamethrower 90% of the time, but you do have to show people that when they're furious and they're scared to death, and they are right now. This, you've seen the volatility
Right.
indexes on the stock markets going vertical. You've
Fear
seen
over greed.
fear, yeah. You've seen the job stuff,
Yeah.
fear of their future economic security numbers and polls are popping up. All of those things, all of those things underneath the surface are really frightening to people. They
To
are really
me too.
upsetting to people. Sure,
Yeah.
they should. Listen. Everybody with a 401k or a city, state, or federal pension right now is looking at the market and going, "Oh my God, I'm fucked."
Yeah.
All the gains, all the gains of the last several years are being pissed away because Donald Trump is pissing them away. Democrats should be telling that story, not
Yeah.
not don't promise them things you can't deliver. Promise them that you hear them, that you
Yeah.
understand them, that their anger is natural and legitimate and understandable and explicable, and you got it. You hear them.
Rick
And job
Wilson,
one is stopping Trump and his allies. Job one is
you
stopping them right in their tracks.
you have to get those dogs. I have to do 27 more interviews. Should we do
Well,
this
I want to
again,
thank.
guys? Do you like
I,
this?
yeah, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a
Tell
lot of
us.
messages last week. I got a lot of
Yes.
messages last week. Like, make it a thing. We made it a thing. We're gonna
I
make it a
never
thing.
get messages. No one ever writes to me.
I
What
write
about
you every day.
me?
I write you every day.
Nobody ever writes to me. All I wanted is to get
Is a pen
friends.
pal.
Yes, pen pal. No one writes. I'm just by myself staring at the wall. I have
You
nothing
know,
going for me.
except
Um,
your glamorous lifestyle being whisked back and forth to fabulous studios every day.
yeah, literally nothing. I do literally nothing. So, all right, let's do this again, please.
Yes, let's do it again. Let's make it a thing. We're gonna make it
All
a
right,
thing.
we're gonna make it a
We
thing.
might, if Molly and I can make our schedules, which are like the most complicated Byzantine operations in the
He's much
world.
more busy than I am. I am, but it's
Well,
simple.
we're going to make it work. We might make this the regular time. We'll figure that out as we go forward. But thank
Yes,
you everybody for coming on
yes,
again and watching. We're going to try to also figure out how we can get your questions better. Substack Live, it makes it a little bit. It goes right past as you're talking. So we're going to try to figure that out as we go
yes,
forward. We
yes.
make it.
Ask
I
us
make it. We make it a
questions.
minion. We make it a minion to follow the
A
questions as we
minion.
do this.
Jesus Christ. All right. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
See
Goodbye.
ya, folks. Like and subscribe.